Villains are destined to die. Chapter 11. I felt depressed. If I didn't want to go to the ceremony, then I'll have to talk to not the Duke but Derek. But if I do, then there's a risk of his interest rate decreasing. I would have tried gambling if it was Reynolds instead. I let out a sigh, thinking back to Reynolds' interest rate that just rose from a negative. I was busy enough already even trying to keep it at 0%. I shouldn't even think to take risk by gambling against Derek. Lady. Are you okay? You've turned pale. Emily cautiously asked, glimpsing at my serious facial expression. Leave the room. I have something to think about. I gestured with my hand, sounding annoyed. I let out a sigh as soon as she left the room. I'll die when I don't go, and I'll die when I do go. How insane is this game? I started to miss my heavenly days during my time out. It'll be fine if I avoid him the best I can, right? I thought back to how the story flowed. But there were nothing much to remember. Meet the crown prince at the maze in the palace garden, then die before a proper conversation starts. Again, and again. I'm not exaggerating when I say I had to press the reset button every 5 seconds. I think just not attending saying I'm sick would be the best ch. It was then when a smart idea popped up in my mind. Should I try dying? It isn't a bad idea when you think about it. I mean, no one knows. I might be able to go back to my world if I die in this world. What is the system going to do about it when the player reached the game over? Giving up fast would be better than trying to reach the ending of the game with one of the characters who I have no hopes in. Also, this game has the reset button. It even sounds angelic. Reset ... ton, of course, there aren't back button or other icons visible even though it did on the phone screen when playing the game. The only thing I could see at the moment is the square chart with the choices. But wouldn't a reset button exist when the system exists? Why didn't I think of this before? As long as there's a reset button, it's best if I take everything face to face. Awesome. Let's see the crowned prince and die. I was half dead from waking up earlier than usual and getting all the treatments. I took a bath in a tub of water mixed with milk and fragrance extract, then got some massages, and did both a face and body mask. This boring steps were repeated multiple times. I was half dead when I got out the bathroom and was sitting at the makeup table. However, that wasn't all. Lady, how is this dress? This was bought last time and weren't worn once, so it's new. How about this earring? This should go well with the dress. I think tying half of your hair would be better than tying them all up. What do you think? How do you want your makeup? They kept on asking, holding me down. Do they actually hate Penelope? They were more excited than I was. I raised my head and looked in the mirror. It seemed like all the treatments I got this morning did their work because my face was glowing even more than usual. Well, it surely would be fun to decorate a face like this. I nodded, understanding why they react this way, and spoke. Take that dress back and bring the one that covers all my neck. I'll wear the least amount of accessories I should wear and take it easy on all the others too. The maids jumped in shock from my words, then added. But lady. It's a party. The one at the royal palace at that. The words also seemed to ask, won't you need to dress up the prettier than others? The reddish-pink dress that would widely make my neckline visible that the maids brought, surely would go well with Penelope's crimson-pink hair. And the accessories that looked like it was a set with the dress would complement Penelope's splendid beauty. But I wasn't going to the palace to show off the beauty like a peacock would. But then I couldn't possibly say that I was going there to die, so I just babbled things out like how Penelope would. You don't need to try too hard. Just do as I say. The maids couldn't convince me longer after hearing my cool tone of voice as they walked towards the dress room with a saddened face. The 3 dresses that the maids later brought were all decorated calm, unlike the last dress. This one. The dress I picked was the dark green evening dress. It covered my collarbones and it was the color of dark green, which didn't pop out much. I wore the dress and forced the maids in to do my makeup as lightly as possible. I wore small emerald-colored earrings that resembled Penelope's eyes, and called it at that. After the makeover, I looked in the mirror and saw a girl so virtuous that I thought I was going to the church to pray instead of going to a fancy party. This would be enough to be almost unseen. Unlike me, whose face was bright with satisfaction, the maids' expressions were all dark. Only Emily stay and the rest can leave now. I ordered them to leave, then I asked for one more thing from my personal maid. Emily, could you prepare the gloves that are the same color of the dress? Lady, you're going to wear the gloves as well? If I do, then it'd be perfect. Emily fidgeted as if she wanted to stop me from that also. Then what? I can't go showing this to everyone, I said, showing the needle marks on my hand. The needle marks were faint, and it was now hardly visible. However, there could always be some nobles with keen eyesight to notice this. Emily's face went pale as soon as I showed her. Hurry and bring it. Oh, okay. I clicked my tongue, watching her leave in panic. There were moments where she became a little hesitant after treating her a little well these days. There were needs to make her feel nervous when facing me. Later, the preparation was done with me putting on my gloves. Derek scanned me from my head to my toe, and made a face seeming to say, "This is rare. It seems like you've turned more human-like these past days of your time out." It was our first meeting each other's in days, but his attitude on Penelope still stayed the same. However, I didn't have time to get upset about it. It was because of the shining gauge bar over his head. Interest 5%. What the? When did it go up? His interest on me has risen without me even knowing it. 5% at that. I was a little dumbfounded. If his interest towards me rises when he didn't see me, just how much does he hate Penelope? If I knew about this earlier, then I would have spoken to him about not going from being sick. I started to regret my decision. But it was too late. The fancy carriage with the symbol of Eckart on it was standing in front of the main entrance. I bowed slightly as a greeting, then reached my hand out to the bodyguard standing nearby. It was because the carriage was higher than I thought. I couldn't see what Derek was doing since I was busy with lifting my dress up to get on the carriage. It was when I successfully got up the carriage and turned around to look at Derek. He had his hands stretched forward, looking at me with a stiff face. What's up with him? I tilted my head in confusion of what he was doing. But we needed to hurry up and start going if we want to be at the ceremony on time. There was no way he'd ride the same carriage as the carriage I was on, so I waited for the carriage door to close. But then, Derek, who was frozen in place, got in the carriage. What's happening? Why is he climbing up in here? I searched through my memories to see if I've done anything wrong. However, nothing came up into my mind. It was obvious because we met today just now and only just said hello. While I was doing that, Derek sat down on the seat on the opposite side of where I was sitting. Why, you're riding with me? His brows creased from my questioning. You have a problem with that? No. It's not that. What's wrong with you? You've never done anything like this before. I shook my head, making sure I didn't say that out loud. But even though I said that, his crease didn't leave his face. If you have a problem, you ride the other carriage, he said with a cold tone. I glimpsed out the carriage window, actually considering to do as he suggested. However, he already closed the carriage door while he was coming in, so it would look funny if I opened it again and left. I don't dislike it. I looked back at Derek and forced the half-hearted words out of me. I like it? And then I carefully glimpsed at Derek to see his reaction. He, who glared at me for a moment, turned his head to the side. I mean, if you dislike this that much, why are you making it awkward and uncomfortable for both of us? Is this a new way to annoy Penelope? I was dumbfounded at his figure letting out all the cold aura. But that soon changed when I took a look above his head. Interest 6%, it went up by 1%. I was staring at it wide-eyed when the carriage started moving. Yeah. What could possibly happen in the carriage? I had the whole 6% interest with me. There wouldn't possibly be a case that will make the 6% drop in such a short time in the carriage. Remembering the words "if you can't avoid it, enjoy it," I decided to take it in as a good thing. However, soon after departing, I regretted riding the same carriage with Derek. It's suffocating. Save me. It seemed like eternity until we finally arrived at the palace. It was only a moment of time where I could just watch the cold, handsome man sitting with his arms and legs crossed. In the silent carriage existed only silence, which made me super self-conscious to even breathe properly. I decided to try opening the window when I couldn't take it anymore, but Derek stared at me as soon as I started to move, so I couldn't do a thing. When I flinched even just a little after that, he would open his closed eyes abruptly and glare at me. "Aw, why are you looking at me like that?" I sweated, glimpsing at the interest 6% once a while. I shouted in delight mentally when the carriage stopped at the palace. I could finally escape this carriage of death. I'll hurry and get out, then take in some fresh air. Click. But before that happened, Derek got up so suddenly as soon as the carriage stopped. After, he would open the door before me and get out. Then, take it. Subscribe, like and share for more chapters and novels every day.